Beep beep everybody, hope you're all having a great day today. Thanks for tuning into the channel. So this is going to be a different video that we normally don't do on this channel, and I'm going to show you how I remove wax stains from a baseball card. As you know, wax packs with their wrappers, the card that tends to be closest to where the wrapper, the two ends of the wrapper meet and are sealed together, usually takes the brunt of the wax stain. This is a Warren Brewster card from 1980 Topps, and as you can see, there's some wax across here, and there's a bunch of it over here. It's a little hard to pick up, but it's mostly right in here and over here. Probably not the best example, but it's what I have right now. I don't have very many cards that have wax stains. And this is the only thing that I do with a baseball card. And it's because I believe that the wax stain is just a surface thing. It's not part of the card. It's just something that ends up on the surface. And it's something that can be easily removed in most cases. Now, if it sinks into the card like it does on the back of the card, and this doesn't have any of it, it will actually darken the paper or the cardboard. And as far as I can tell, I don't think there's any way to remove it from the back without chemical means. And when you start getting into chemicals, you're basically altering the card. And my personal philosophy is not to alter cards. And there are two different camps in that area, and I'm not going to go into that. But myself personally, I would never dip a card in water. I would never use a chemical on it. The only thing I would do is get the wax stain off, if it can be, and you need to do this gently. But the tool that you need is basically a pair of pantyhose. You can get a pair that your wife is going to throw away, or your girlfriend, or anybody you know that owns pantyhose that plans on throwing some away. Just tell them to save them for you. There's a lot of surface area on a pair of pantyhose, so you can apply this to, well, I don't know. I'm still using the same pair I've been using for about a year and a half now. I asked my wife to keep one pair that she was going to throw out, and I've been using that ever since. And I first saw this on some video on YouTube, but the gentleman that was doing it was also applying furniture polish to his card, and I would highly advise not to do that, because that is to me, that's a chemical alteration. Just to shine up the card, and that's like, well, the cards are pretty shiny on their own, to me at least. I mean, I know they eventually their gloss does wear off on some cards from a lot of use. So you put your finger inside a pair of pantyhose like this. Don't use your fingernail, because that will scratch the card. You want to use the fleshy part of your tip of your fingernail, and you want to start off gently. And I would recommend doing this with a cheap card that you're not so much concerned about if you do some damage, and get used to how to go about doing it before you ever do it on an expensive card. So what I generally do is I start off with a nice gentle circular motion, and you can feel the wax underneath your finger as you're doing this. And you want to like hold the card with your two fingers like this, keep it in place, because if you do this loose, the card will go all over the place and you might damage it. When you're up against an edge or a corner, I recommend brushing away like this, and don't come this way, because you could damage the edge or the corner. And you still want to do this as gently as you can. You'll be surprised at how much pressure you can actually apply to a card. It's a lot more than you think. You can go back and forth like this. I tend to start off with circles and then eventually move to back and forth. And there's definitely something underneath this part here. And when you're up against the edge, just be careful not to go over the edge when you go up and down along the edge like this. And you don't want to apply too much pressure when you're holding a card. If you're going to really dig into it, just be careful, because you can apply enough pressure that it might actually bend the card a bit, and that will show. Now, I have seen anecdotal evidence that they were doing this back in the 1970s. I don't know who invented it. There's not much out there on the topic. Like I said, this is the only thing that I would ever do to a card, because the wax stain to me is just a surface substance. It's not really part of the card until it sinks in on the reverse side of the card. If it sinks in, it leaves a stain that you really can't get out. And it will look like a dark patch. And I don't have any to show you. I may have shown some that I've bought in the past that had that. I still feel some along here, so I'm going to rub it a little bit more. You can hear the rubbing sound that I am definitely applying some pressure. Let's have a look at it. And all right, most of it is gone here. There's like one real big thick piece of something there that looks like wax. That's going to be kind of harder to get out, but it's something that you have to keep working on. These little dot or circular things look like bubbles of wax to me. So we'll keep working on it. I'll apply a little bit more pressure to it now. Let's see if we can get that thicker one here out. Let's see what that looks like now. All right, it looks a little bit better over here. There's a little bit like right there. Looks like some right here. This one, this piece right here is going to be difficult to get out. You can see there's a long stretch of it right there. So this will probably take some time. There will be some like white residue on your pantyhose, and when you get done with one area, like here's some right here, you'll want to move on to another clean spot, and eventually you'll fill up your pantyhose with wax. Yeah, this one's going to take some time to get out here. But as you can see, the surface of the card is doing fine. So this is actually a decent example of some more difficult stains. Most of the time they tend to be smaller than this, and in like 10 to 20 seconds you can probably get a nice clean surface on it. This one's got some really dug in some wax there. All right, you can see that thicker thing that I got there, that is now gone. There's a little bit still down here. There's a little bubble up on the left here, and there's still some wax along here. So we'll try to dig in a little bit more there, making sure to hold on the card firmly but gently, if that makes sense. So this is all trial and error. Like I said, you want to start with a cheap card. And Warren Brewster is a common card from the 1980 Topps set. I know on eBay these probably sell for about $1 each, because that's like the minimum buy it now price. But I think at a card store you could probably get this card for, I don't know, $1 or less. Back when I was a kid, these cards were probably worth about 3 cents each. All right, there's a little bit of something down there, either that or there's just a bump in the design. There's still a little bit up here. I think that's what that is, or it could be just a surface bump. See if that got that off. Yeah, actually that came off. All right, there's a little bit down here. So we're going to try to get that off. Yeah, still a little bit more there. That might actually be part of the card. It looks like there's a little bit like right here. And there's a little bit right there. But most of this is gone. Most of this is gone. We did a pretty good job, I think, this time. So yeah, always do it with a cheap card first before you ever touch a more expensive card. And if you're from that camp that thinks a wax stain should stay where it is, that's perfectly fine. I accept your opinion on that. That's perfectly fine if that's what you want to do. But this is the only thing that I do to make a card a little bit nicer looking. I don't grade my cards. I don't plan on doing it. I do buy a graded card here and there, but I don't plan on actually sending any in. I've seen enough nightmare videos. All right, whatever this is, it's probably just a part of the surface there. These older cards have these kinds of issues, but that looks pretty clean. I think we got most of it. There might be I think there's a little bit up here. You can barely see it. Don't really feel it much there. Actually, that looks a little bit better. So that is how I get a wax stain off a baseball card. There are some other cards out there that have wax stains on the back, and on Topps cards, these usually sink right into it. I've mentioned that before, and then you end up with a dark stain, and that can't be removed using this method. I would recommend not doing it on the back here. This surface is made of something a little bit more tolerable to having pantyhose rubbed against it, whereas on this side I think you might do some damage with the pantyhose. However, having said that, Fleer cards are a little bit different. There's nothing on the front here, but as you can see, there's wax on the back, and the surface of these cards is very different from the Topps cards. I find these are more difficult to get out on the Fleer cards. I mean, we could try a little bit right now, but we're already at the 12-minute mark. But you can work on these, but I don't think they're as successful at getting out, and you may just have to accept it for what it is. For some of the more stubborn ones, you may just have to leave it be. But in any case, if you get a good portion of it up, it will definitely make the card look a lot better than it did before. But like I said, if you're a traditionalist and you prefer to have the wax stains on the card for nostalgic reasons, or you believe that that's actually altering a card, I don't really agree with that. I think this is just a substance that sits on the surface of the card, and as such, I treat it as if it were dirt. And if you can clean it off very gently, you can get... that's my opinion. Yeah, this one here is probably not coming off, but it is as such as it is, and sometimes you have to give up on it. Alrighty, so if you have any suggestions about how you get wax stains off your baseball cards or other sports cards or non-sports cards, you're welcome to leave comments down below. If you guys all want to have a discussion in the comments section about whether you think this is a good thing, bad thing, you support it, you don't support it, that's fine. I'm just going to tell you that I think this is the one thing that you can do to improve your card's appearance, because I just think of it as surface debris, and that's all I think of it as. Because when these cards, before they were packed, they were clean, and it was the wax on the wax wrapper that caused them to have some debris on them. Like I said, on the back of a Topps card, they generally leave a stain that can't be removed. It'll look like a real dark stain. I don't have any to show you offhand, but I do have some in my collection. But the front of the card, that wax stain doesn't really sink in based on to what this front of the card is made out of. It doesn't sink through it. So this can be gently removed by applying pantyhose. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to leave a beep beep in the comments if you so desire. Take care, everybody. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Beep beep.